In this week's video, I'm visiting McDowell Creek Falls Park, an amazing destination for waterfall photography. It's a great place to study the different types of compositions you can achieve with different types of waterfalls. I'll go through when I choose wide-angle compositions, when I choose telephoto compositions, and explain how the compositions come together to create a compelling story. 4 waterfalls, 1 place, and endless compositions. Let's get started. Our first waterfall of the trip was Terrace Falls. It's a beautiful stair-step tiered waterfall that you can see from this bridge crossing Fall Creek. While this view is very easy to get to in just a few short steps from the parking lot, it is pretty limited in the number of different views you can get of the waterfall, and that really limits the number of different compositions. Photographing this waterfall is a challenge not only due to the limited number of perspectives, but also due to the trees that are blocking the view of several parts of it. Given these challenges, I decided that the best composition would be to use a telephoto lens to zoom in on some of the details of the beautiful tiers of this waterfall. Here's how that turned out. This shot of Terrace Falls was captured at 200 millimeters. The reason I like this telephoto lens composition is because it allows me to remove all of the distractions, including all of the busy tree leaves that were surrounding the falls, and really focus in on the key area of interest, which is the linear pattern of the softly falling water. I captured it at about 1/3 of a second in order to give the water this nice soft look. I also enjoy how the leaves that do remain in the photo frame the image perfectly. We have a little bit of green at the top and the bottom and to the sides of the photo, framing the water very nicely and containing the viewer's gaze into the center of the image. After capturing Terrace Falls, I continued along the path toward the second waterfall of the day through this beautiful lush green forest. This portion of the trail follows right along the edge of Fall Creek. The path down to the second waterfall, Crystal Falls, can be a little hard to spot and also tricky to navigate with lots of rocks and tree roots, but it's well worth the adventure. So here I am at the second waterfall for today. This is Crystal Falls. It's here in the background, and really lovely shape to these falls. And we've got all these rocks in the foreground and rivulets that are going to make a really lovely wide angle shot. So I've got my wide angle 16 to 35 millimeter lens set up here, the polarizing filter, and I've got a composition with these rocks in the foreground and Crystal Falls in the background. And it really is just such a beautiful waterfall. I'm probably going to try a few different compositions, some verticals, some horizontals, and really just try to do this waterfall some justice. For this composition, I have my shutter speed set to 1/3 to allow some water movement. And my aperture is at f/16 to get as much in focus as I can, though I'll likely need to focus stack at least a little bit because we've got some rocks really close to us and the waterfall in the background. And my ISO is just kind of where it needs to be to balance exposure. I'm a little underexposed to not blow out the highlights in the water. And actually, when I get to this area back here, you can see the zebras here on my screen. So when I get to that part of the shot, I'll probably reduce the exposure even more by cranking down the ISO so I can make sure I get all my data and the highlights in that part of the photo. I spent quite a bit of time at Crystal Falls working on different compositions. There really are so many options here. With this flat area with all the rocks and the water flowing over them, you can make an amazing number of different compositions, and I came away with 3 that I really liked. My first composition was a horizontal. What I enjoy about this one is how the water in the foreground leads you right into the background. It almost looks like a place you can step right into, take a seat on a rock, and enjoy that waterfall yourself. For this one, I wanted to be careful to balance the weight of the rocks in the foreground with the weight and size of the waterfall in the background. So I did some cropping to make sure those rocks are just framing the scene and not distracting from it. I did a vertical composition in the same area. What I like about this alternative is that it places the waterfall at the very center, and you still have the water in the foreground, leading you right into this lovely scene. For my last composition, I moved in even closer to get a more intimate view of this waterfall. I must say, Crystal Falls really had an endless number of different compositions that you could create. I could have stayed here all day trying more photos, but I needed to move on to see the other two falls that were left on the rest of the trail. Which Crystal Falls composition did you prefer? 1, 2, or 3? Drop a note in the comments and let me know. Our journey continued through this lush green forest onto the third waterfall of the day. And I must say that this waterfall was probably the most impressive of the entire trip. This is Majestic Falls, and it really is fitting of the name as it plunges into this ravine that's covered in ferns and moss and bright emerald green. So here we are at our third waterfall of the day. This is Majestic Falls, and you can really see why. It's just a stunning, absolutely gorgeous waterfall. There is a viewing platform up above, but if you go down the stairs, there's a trail that goes underneath the platform, and you can get this amazing viewpoint from here at the bottom of the falls. Shooting here was a bit of a challenge due to all the mist, so I made sure to wipe the lens frequently. Also, the light in the ravine was pretty low, so that made it a bit of a challenge to dial in the settings. But overall, I was really happy with how the results turned out. For this waterfall, I really felt that a wide-angle composition was the way to go because everything surrounding the waterfall is just so beautiful. We have all of these moss-covered rocks, beautiful green leaves, and the stream that's just leading you right into the scene, as well as all the mist surrounding the waterfall that just really gives it a beautiful atmosphere. I really wanted to capture the entire scene so it feels like you could walk right into it. And I think that this low to the ground, wide angle position really helps to create that feeling. I do think this is my favorite shot of the day. What do you think? Drop a note in the comments and let me know. After Majestic Falls, we continued along the loop trail back to the beginning where we started to capture our last waterfall of the day. All right, so this is our fourth waterfall of the day. This is Little McDowell Falls, and this one has a really interesting pattern to it. So I'm gonna do both wide angle shots to get the entirety of the waterfalls, and I'll also do some telephoto shots to get up close and really get some of the interesting patterns you can see in the fan on the right side of the waterfall. So for the wide angle shot, I have my shutter speed at 1/3 of a second. I don't want to get it too long because there's a lot of water flow here, and it can really just start to look bright white mush if you do too long of an exposure. F16 to get everything nice and in focus, and ISO 100 just to balance the exposure. And I've got it underexposed a bit so I don't blow out the highlights on the water itself. And once I've got that, I'll get a few other shots at a faster shutter speed to capture the leaves here and in the background, so I can stop the motion of the leaves and then blend those exposures together later. And now I'm going to capture those leaf shots. So I've got something faster here, about 1/15 of a second. I'll focus right on the leaves, take a shot there. And I'll take another shot of the leaves further in the background. I had to open my aperture a bit to f10 so I could get enough light for these darker parts of the image. You might notice that I didn't get low to the ground for these wide-angle shots. That's due to the fact that the area in front of these falls is really just quite a bit of negative space with this pool of water here, and we don't have a lot of leading lines to lead us in with that type of composition. This is why I chose to photograph at a higher angle and crop out all of that negative space at the bottom. Here's how it turned out. Little McDowell Creek Falls is really unique in how it almost has 3 waterfalls in one. I like this composition in that the green trees frame the scene, and then I darkened the foreground quite a bit to keep the viewer's eye focused on the center with these 3 beautiful waterfalls. You can also see the footbridge in the background, and I think that adds a really nice element to the story of this photo. This is one of my telephoto compositions of the same waterfall. This waterfall is really perfect for this type of shot because it has so many intricate patterns and fans that when you zoom in, it has a lot of visual interest as opposed to something that is just a single plunge. Zooming in like this creates a feeling for the viewer as if they are right there by the waterfall, as if they could almost reach out and touch the flowing water. McDowell Creek Falls Park is truly an amazing spot for waterfall photography. I really enjoyed getting to see all the different types of waterfalls here. The variety really makes for the ability to create an amazing number of different compositions, whether it's wide angle to include the beautiful scenery, or telephoto to zoom in and show some of the details. There really are so many different great photos you can get at this spot. What was your favorite composition of the day? Leave a comment and let me know, and be sure to click like and subscribe to stay up to date with my latest content. Thanks for watching.